Thanks, Kelly. I'm glad Jim said it. I've got to echo what Jim Barry said. This is unbelievable. Feel the energy in this room and all these people. This is fun. Stacy, welcome back. Good to see you and everybody. This is outstanding. Jim Yoakum. So great to have everybody here for sure. Well, I'm thinking, oh, there's the mic. I need our speakers to want the mic in a second. But let me introduce, I get to introduce two people today, Carrie Jones and Tim Cunningham. They're going to talk about the East Bluff Community Center. So welcome, Carrie and Tim. Carrie is the executive director of the East Bluff Community Center since September of 2020. Her previous experience includes community development, work in the Peace Corps in Rwanda. So we chatted about that. Fascinating. So if you want to talk to her about that, yeah, the Peace Corps in Rwanda. And she's had management roles in health education and community services. She holds a BA in international service in Spanish and a Master's of Science, I believe, in public health. She's passionate about using her background and skills to make an impact in Peoria's East Bluff neighborhood. And I just found out that she and her husband just recently bought a house in Peoria, not too far from there. So welcome to Peoria. Tim Cunningham. Tim's a lifelong Peorian. He graduated from Holy Family, Bergen, and has degrees from Illinois Central College, Western Illinois, Bradley. He's an accomplished guy. He's a smart guy. Tim and his wife, Jan, been married 43 years. They have 5 kids, 9 grandchildren. He taught school in East Peoria after college for 8 years and then spent 33 years at Caterpillar in various roles of management. He retired in 2015. Tim and Jan love spending time with their family. They do house renovation projects, bike travel, and he is a good golfer. I can attest to that. He's helped me a lot in golf and many other things. Tim is a previous board president of St. Bernard's School and Parish, Peoria-Notre Dame High School, the heart of Peoria Catholic Community and Mount Holly Country Club, and he's volunteered and done work for many non-profit organizations in the Peoria area. And he is currently the board president of East Bluff Community Center, and I think he's going to kick us off. Okay, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and good golfer, both small G's. So what I'd like to do, Carrie Jones has been executive director with us since for about 18 months now, but I just want to give you a level set, talk a little bit about the East Bluff of Peoria and the East Bluff Community Center that's been there since 2013 and a building that's been there since 1900.
This clicker's not working.
There it goes. I just jumped 4 slides. Okay, so the East Bluff community in the city of Peoria, and I'll define it here in just a second, but and I think, is there anyone in this room that has any familiar or family roots in the East Bluff? I know that, yeah, so look at the hands that go up there. Whether you grew up there or your parents grew up there or you went to school there or you played stickball on the parking lot or corkball on the parking lot at St. Bernard School. There's a lot of people in this city who have roots in the East Bluff neighborhood of Peoria. It's been there for over 100 years. And it's been a proud part of the city of Peoria for over 100 years. And next. Oftentimes, when we're talking about to people, they say, well, where is the East Bluff? What is the East Bluff? The East Bluff neighborhood of Peoria is bounded by Knoxville on the west, Prospect on the east, War Memorial Drive and Glen Oak, and there's often confusion on what the northernmost boundary is. The city of Peoria just released our study last month, actually, a city revitalization study. And for their study, they took census data to War Memorial. For our service area at the East Bluff Community Center, we kind of roughly say about Forest Hill. Forest Hill is kind of the informal East Bluff boundary. At its height, within the last 100 years, there were 7 schools serving the East Bluff families and children. 7 schools. Children from the East Bluff went to 7 schools. And those of you who raised children know that when your kids are in school, the school is the heart of your life. That's your community center. And those 7 schools, is there a pointer on this thing? Is that our laser? Is this a laser?
Yes, there is.
Okay. So some of you probably even went to Spalding or know people who went to Spalding Academy. This is the old Glen Oak School, which has now been demolished and replaced with a big, large campus. Von Steuben. This is White School, which is now Sue Wozniak Learning Center for OSF, and Woodruff and St. Bernard's. And those 7 schools, of them, this is the only one that's currently in its current state serving children. Glen Oak School is still a school, but it's not in that building, it's a new campus. The point being here is that as those 5 schools closed, the opportunity for community minimized and decreased. And when you couple that with changing demographics in the neighborhood, over the course of the last 5 years, we have seen a lot of demographic change in the East Bluff. 3,000 low-income students live in the East Bluff. Less than 20% of the students who go to school in the East Bluff perform at an acceptable or meet or exceed expectation level. And obviously the East Bluff, as you hear oftentimes in the news, is a, quote, dangerous place. I'm here to tell you it's not terribly dangerous, but there are spots. And actually we did have a major incident at our East Bluff Community Center last summer, and Carrie was there. We had a graduation, a high school graduation with over 100 kids there, and a couple of unwanted, uninvited guests got in and started firing their guns in the gym with 100 kids in the building. She was there, she saw it, she witnessed it. It was devastating. We immediately, the next day, had a meeting with the mayor and the police chief, and what's that? No one was hit. Fortunately, the person was not a good shot, but there were bullets found in the building, and there was a gun found hidden in the building. So somebody on the inside. But so that's, however, I will tell you, a somewhat isolated incident, but it still happened. And we learned, we as a board took some pretty serious steps after that. We had an emergency meeting at 8 o'clock the next morning and immediately shut the place for a while and took a step back. But the point being, there is a huge need in the community for stability. And that's what we're trying to help bring to the East Bluff neighborhood and the city of Peoria. This just shows you a little bit about the city study showed the East Bluff in 3 tracks, this being War Memorial, this being roughly Forest Hill, this being roughly Nebraska. The poverty rate in this area right here, 36% of the households live at or below the poverty level. In the middle section between Nebraska and Forest Hill, 22%. And then north of Forest Hill to War Memorial, it's 11. So, but this being our service area, it's about 1/3 of the households live at or below the poverty level. And there is a huge need and a huge opportunity to help improve the lives of the residents, the community, and make it a better place. So when those schools closed, and by the way, when Glen Oak was demolished and being planned for a new building, part of the plans and the architecture and the bonding and the funding was to include several $1 million for a community center in the building. That never happened. The building got built, the money got spent, but the community center never got purposed inside that building. So that void caused a series of folks, community leaders, to brainstorm, how can we develop a community center? Well, this school, which was St. Bernard's, closed in 2004, and it was sitting empty in 2012. And so Jim Artis, Brian Spain, Jerry Brady, a couple of other council members, Riggenbach and Ruckriegel, organized, and a couple of pastors and the local pastors organized and got a 501c3 established a lease with the school to lease the building for a community center. Started out as a Saturday morning basketball program for youth, and one thing led to another. So the initial rent was, we rented the building for $1 a year to have a community center. However, you're responsible for all maintenance of a 100-year-old building, which includes annual $6,000 to $10,000 boiler repairs, freezer repairs, tuck pointing, leaky roof repairs, about $50,000 to $60,000 a year we were spending on maintenance. But we had a place. We didn't have to wait 10 years to raise $500,000 or $1 million and build a building somewhere. We had a place. And we had the first wave of permanent residents. The Boys and Girls Club immediately occupied the top floor of the building, and that's where they're there today still. So the East Bluff home for the Boys and Girls Club students and part of programs is the top floor of this building back here. And it's located right here, 5 blocks east of the Shell station on Knoxville. Popeyes, Shell on Nebraska. That's where St. Bernard's School, East Bluff Community Center is located. So the first 2 years, we're just getting something going and then starting to build a base. And I just want to point out that we had some very, very generous early donors who donated about $50,000 a year for the first couple of years to keep this thing off the ground. And all of that money, virtually all of that money, went to keeping the building open, because that's all we were. We were just a building, and we were hoping others would come and pay rent to rent the building, and people would come and rent the gym for parties and wedding receptions, and they do, and they continue to. So it's the next 8 years. However, the problem was we were running it with all volunteers, and the volunteer director, was 78 years old. And he wasn't going to be around. That's an unsustainable business model. If you run a business and you don't have a succession plan in place for your 78-year-old founder, you've got an issue. And we as a board stepped back and said, we've got an issue. But we built 5 years of base. And so in mid-18, the board stepped up and said, well, this guy's getting almost 80 years old, and he's whispering now that he don't want to be here anymore. He can't do this anymore. We then said, at our current funding level, we can't hire anybody. We can't afford to do anything else with this. So with 5 years of success, I want to back up, with 5 years of success in our bank and the volunteer model nearing its useful life end, we said, we got to do something different. So we created a strategic planning committee, and I only put this up there because you may recognize, this was our board at the time, and you may recognize some of the names on this list as people who have helped us and who met with us for 2 to 3 hours a month for 6 months at the end of 2018 to develop a long-term strategic plan to see to it that this place would be around for a long, long time and serving the vital needs of this community. And so we came up with a mission statement, and I'm just going to share this with you quickly, but it's important that you know that we said we want to foster community engagement and neighborhood stabilization. That's what we're here to do. We want to stabilize this neighborhood, and we want to be the beacon light for the East Bluff and bring hope and bring joy and bring community to the East Bluff. And we're going to do that a couple of ways, making sure that we've got a place that's warm and welcome and functional. And we're not going to go out. We can't even afford to pay a director right now. We're sure not going to go out and start hiring program directors and start bringing in funding programs. We can't do that yet. So we started partnering with the YMCA and with other agencies to bring their programs here, and it worked, and they did that. And we also said we want to create a vision to be everyone's first choice gathering place, and we put our boundaries around the kind of things that we want to happen in this building. Recreation, celebration, arts, lifelong learning, and community service. That's what we're all about at the East Bluff Community Center. And you'll notice the pictures. I mean, they're just, they keep coming. People keep coming, and they keep coming back, and they keep coming back, and they love the place. And it is a beacon, and it is an anchor in the East Bluff. And so at the beginning of 19, we launched our strategy. We have some goals too. We had 4 goals that we said. We have to make sure that we partner with organizations, that we've got we make significant improvements to the building. We get awareness and understanding in the community of what's going on there. And then I threw out the gauntlet and said, and we need $1.5 million in the next 5 years. This is saying to the board who's been able to run on 50 to 60 to 70,000 a year for the last 5 years, we need $1.5 million to run this place for the next 5 years, or we're closing the doors because we can't exist. And so we took the message on the road. And within 3 months, we had commitments from 8 different places for $120,000 a year for the next 3 years. That gave us enough breathing room to operate and look at hiring a director. This was pre-COVID, by the way. This was the middle of 19, and things are looking pretty darn rosy right now. And then Dave Kaler came to us and said, oh, by the way, you've been awarded $600,000 in state capital money for the building. Holy cow, are you kidding me? We're in the middle of spending the first 250 right now. We just had a new boiler installed last October. The 100-year-old boiler is gone. We still have the doors on the front. If anybody's interested in signing up with, if your number has at least one comma in it, you're more than welcome to have one of those two doors on the front of the old Kiwani boiler. And then in January of 2020, we said it's now time to hire a director. January of 2020, time to hire a director. I'm going to back up one. And so we started. We put the bid out. We posted it on Indeed. We got about 40 applications. We were in the process of screening applicants, going through all of it. And we were down to 10, and we started interviewing and COVID. And we said, time out. We don't know where this is going. So we paused, we stepped back, we shut it down. We closed the place down. We had nothing going on. Fortunately, those 8 donors all said, our money is still with you. Keep it, you can keep it open. But there was nothing to do. We couldn't have anything going on. So we waited. And then in July, we as a board said, you know what, it's time to reopen the bid for a director. And a new name appeared in our applicants. And it was Carrie Jones. And so we screened her and we interviewed her. And it took about 90 seconds for us to fall in love with her. And she was offered and accepted within 4 hours, maybe. And I'm delighted to introduce to you Carrie Jones, who will talk to you kind of about what she's done since she's been here for the last 18 months and where we're going. As a matter of fact, we're in the process of updating our next 5 years. We had another board meeting retreat last night where we're looking at what's next. But Carrie, I'll turn it over to you.
Good.
There we go. All right. So thanks everybody for having me, and thanks Tim for laying the foundation of the history of the place. I was so fortunate to come in when I did and to where I did, because there were so many dedicated people who got this place going as volunteers. It's incredible that it got to the place that it was without any paid staff, without a lot of formal strategy at that point. And so when I came in and the board had started this strategy, it was really my role to start running with it. How can we now be a lot more strategic about the work that we're doing to really address the issues in the community, to raise up the good things in the community, and just raise awareness for what we were doing and for the East Bluff community. So we started with a community assessment. So we knew a lot of the issues and the things that people were unhappy about in the neighborhood and the things that people did like about it, but we wanted to get that documented because that helps us show truly that the work that we're doing is echoing the voice of the people of the neighborhood. We want this to stay a grassroots initiative rather than a top-down type approach. And so with that, we found that what people really want is more community engagement, more opportunities for unity with their neighbors, more opportunities for youth, getting kids involved in things that are going to keep them on a positive and productive path. So that has been really our vision now. How do we get more of that going at our community center? How do we get more involvement from people who can help us make that happen? Because we're still a one-person staff with some awesome volunteers and a few awesome part-time workers, but partnership is still the name of the game. And we love this model because we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. There are a lot of great organizations that are already doing things really well with youth development, with community work, and why not bring them into our space to do that directly for the East Bluff neighborhood? So we continue to do that. I think I had probably 60 meetings in my first year with different organizations, and many of those resulted in new partnerships, great things like Peoria Art Guild coming in to do work with the kids. Look at My Book came to do book distribution. Lots of really great things happening. And we were able to do a brand and image overhaul so that we were able to get our name out more. A lot of people in the neighborhood didn't even know that we were a community center. There were the people who were very involved, and then there were others who would drive past and be like, what, there's something going on in that old school, but what is it? So it's really been another one of our goals to make sure that families, younger families that have moved into the neighborhood are aware that we're here as a resource. Tim mentioned a lot of our capital improvements and building revitalizations that we've been able to undertake to make it an even more welcoming and vibrant place. And all of that has gone on to help us establish more credibility and awareness in the neighborhood. And so this is actually a WMBD clip. They came to us and they said that they wanted to help highlight some of the good things happening in East Bluff. And so they created this clip that you may have seen playing, but we're gonna play it real quick here for you.
At the East Bluff Community Center, we maintain a safe, welcoming campus that offers a variety of vital services for our local community, from food pantries to hosting events for neighborhood residents and more. Visit us online to see how you can get involved to help build a stronger community.
All right, so with that, we'll dig in a little bit more to some of the things that are actually happening at the community center, and some of what our focus has been and the kind of activities that we've had going on. Addressing hunger is a big thing. We talked about, about 30% of families are living in poverty. You may know that the Kroger on Wisconsin closed, and now the East Bluff is considered a food desert. So the fact that we have a food pantry there every Saturday is a big deal, and it means a lot to people, especially those who might not have reliable transportation to go to a grocery store that's not close by. So we serve over 5,000 people every year through the food pantry. We've also got a community garden so that people can grow their own healthy foods if they're interested in that. We've got a kitchen from the old school days, a full commercial kitchen that's able to be used for commissary and for culinary classes. Another big thing that we do is our affordable event rentals. And we love doing this because we see families coming through to celebrate all their big important events, from little kids' birthday parties, baby showers, family reunions, and they have a warm and welcoming place where they can do that without worrying about breaking the bank to have their family all come together. We have really made our focus in this last year about community engagement programming, addressing that need or that desire for community unity, bringing people together, getting to know your neighbors better. When you know your neighbors, you're going to look out for each other more, and using those as opportunities to instill life skills as well. So we've had many fun and educational community events in the last year. That was our group that went out for the Great American Cleanup last year. And we also do a newsletter. So we're trying to connect people to all the resources, making sure people are aware of what's going on, because there is a lot happening that people might not know about. So we send out this newsletter for our community as well. And the big thing that we've done and are continuing to do is hosting partners to come bring their services directly to the East Bluff. Like I've said, it just makes access for people so much easier when we have a PCCEO office in the East Bluff Community Center. They don't have to worry about how to get to the main office to get their energy assistance. Having Boys and Girls Club there, it's wonderful for parents to know that their kids are right down the street, easy to get them after they're done with Boys and Girls Club after school. We've got some wonderful youth programs like Knockout Kings Boxing. If you haven't heard about this, there was a really great article recently, I think in the PJ Star, that was all about how our volunteer who comes in and does this program and who runs this program, he works with the kids in mentorship, and he also works with them to actually prepare them for boxing competitions. And it has just grown in popularity. We have probably 30 kids in the basement every day working on boxing after school. And then we've got several other partners. I've mentioned some of them, but we are always interested in building up more partnerships. We love bringing in more services and activities to the community center through collaboration. So that's kind of one of our asks of you today. You guys are a well-networked group. If you know of other folks or other agencies that might be interested in bringing services in, we would love to explore more partnerships as well. This is just our staff and board, just for reference. Like I said, it has been volunteer run. It is the heart of the community members who got it started that is still keeping it going strong. We have 15 volunteers who show up every Saturday to make sure pantry is running strong, and they've been doing that from the beginning. So we're very proud of having so much involvement from the community to keep the place going. And as Tim mentioned, we are currently going through a strategic plan with our board to see what is the capacity that we have to do even more, to be leaders in the community, to be the voice of the people of the East Bluff, to bring awareness to the challenges, and then to also raise up leaders in the neighborhood itself who can help us address those challenges. And so we're really excited about the trajectory that we're on. We invite you to be a part of that journey however you want to be. If you just want to check in with us and see how things are going, we would love that. If you, like I said, if you have any ideas about other programs and services that we can bring in, that would be amazing. And like I said, we want to see more community stability. We believe it's possible. We know it's possible through working together with the many people who care about the community center and about the East Bluff. And if you can advocate for this neighborhood, that is going to make an impact on all of Peoria. We're only as strong as our weakest parts. We want to build up the parts of the neighborhood that are facing challenges currently to create a stronger community overall in Peoria and in the region. And through that, we can foster community engagement and neighborhood stabilization, which is our mission. So we thank you for taking the time to listen to what we're trying to do, and we welcome you to be part of that journey with us. Tim and I can take any questions if you have any about the work that's being done, or if.
Any questions for him?
So I see a lot of potential in what you have going on with the Hispanic community. So are you marketing to the Hispanic community, and how are you doing it?
Yes, that is a great question, because the Hispanic community is booming in the East Bluff too. It has grown exponentially in recent years. And so that is one of our target audiences. A lot of the families who come in to use the gym for parties and events, family events, are Hispanic. And that's great, but we want to get them more involved in feeling like this is their community center, that they can take part in building up the community. One of the initiatives we have starting this month actually is we're going to start doing some ESL classes and English conversation classes. And we do have also members of our community engagement committee from the Hispanic community who are helping us connect better with those families as well. And a board member, yep.
So it's not really a question, but it's a comment. As a resident of the East Bluff, I think you guys need to be congratulated that your board is not just people of affluence from the community and business leaders. Like, you get neighborhood people on your board. So it's for the community, by the community, not what the outside thinks it should be. So great job there.
Thank you.
My husband grew up in the East Bluff, literally right around the corner, went to St. Bernard's, played stickball. I've heard all the stories. His 90-something mother still lives there. There was a period of time where we said, this isn't safe, you can't be here. She refused to move, but she's definitely feeling the safe position. So congratulations.
So thank you for being here. In some of the organizations that I'm involved with, they're always looking for a meeting or a location. You don't have to be from the East Bluff to use your facility.
Correct. Yep.
And about what does it cost?
So depending on the type of service, if someone's going to be offering a free service to the community, we want to partner in that. So we won't charge. If they want to make a donation, they can. If it is more of like an internal meeting, we charge $20 an hour for
Very
a
reasonable.
And the gymnasium, I mean, you could tell about the gym now.
Yeah, the gym is $40 an hour. So it's probably the cheapest anybody can get around here for an event rental.
So as far as like some of the, you said that there's some other agencies that are renting space in there. Is there more space for expansion? Then would they just talk to you on rates and all that?
So we are actually at about capacity with our space. All of our classroom spaces are currently occupied as offices for places, but the community rooms are able to be, if someone wanted them like at a certain time of day, you know, every week or whatnot, we can work out that so that someone could be a regular presence in the community center without having their own dedicated office.
Are you open at night?
Yes.
There are activities going on in the evening all the time. I will say one of the things that we've identified and as a board and strategically looking at is how do we satisfy the capacity when there's more demand than we have capacity for. These classrooms are huge. And so some of the occupants of some of these huge classrooms maybe don't need the entire footprint. So as we go forward and as we get additional funds, there may be ways that we can subdivide some of those rooms, cut them in half, and make 2 rooms out of 1. But right now, I mean, shoot, some of these classrooms are, you can fit 2 of the classrooms in here. And you've got, some of them have 3 desks and a computer, but that's what they're renting for the month and they're paying rent every month. So those are all things that we're looking at. And if we get enough money, capital money, we got a huge footprint in a parking lot. We can maybe build at some point 5 years, 7, 8, 10 years from now, build a bigger building or put an additional building. And so those are all things, but we're just over the first hump, which is having enough financial stability to get to this point. And then, but success breeds success. And as these things happen and more and more and more success is bred, then we're confident that what we're doing, and the city is well aware of what's going on at East Bluff Community Center and how much of a stabilizing influence it is. And everybody's in love with this woman. She's a phenomenal spokesperson, and she works so well with all of our partners, current and potential partners. So it's wonderful.
You had mentioned, obviously, being a well-networked group, and it is. What are opportunities for maybe donations or in-kind or support as people just have either access to it, maybe personally, and or connections in the community that would help support this initiative?
Well, as an organization that is still heavily, our budget is mostly operational and not so much programmatic. We really look for people who get the mission and want to support with like kind of unrestricted donations. And so we have this program that we call Friends of the Evcc. You can find out about it by going to our website, www.eastbluffcommunitycenter.org. And there you'll just see, it's just all about bringing people into the family by making an annual financial commitment of whatever amount you're able to. And through that, we keep in touch with those people. They get regular communication from us about what's happening. They're invited to be part of activities that are happening at the community center. And we do this fun little contest with kids in the East Bluff that they design stickers. So people who are friends of the Evcc get stickers designed by East Bluff youth as well. So that's one way as far as financial, connecting us to any kind of grants that might also support the work that we're doing would be wonderful if you hear about those sorts of things. And the in-kind, we can always take food pantry donations. If that's an interest, we can let you know like what are the greatest needs for food. First English Lutheran is one of our great supporters of the pantry, as you were just talking about. And as far as getting involved, volunteer services for people who want to provide activities. For example, we've had people come in and do financial literacy classes for free for the community. Things like that. Whatever your area of expertise is, or if you know of somebody who might have an area of expertise that could be of use to the community, we would love to work with you to get something going. Yeah, I did bring some of our flyers about the Friends of the Evcc that are back on the.
And I'm going to talk to you specifically about the levels. We have 4 levels of friendship. One is a $50 a year, one is $200 a year, close friend, best friend, 1,000, sustaining friend is 10,000. We're looking for sustaining friends. We're looking for sustaining friends. Who is it? Who is it? But who's in front of you today? Only one, as I say. But seriously, so and there are some of these flyers, and we would welcome any of your participation in this. It's not something that we do very well as a bunch of guys from the community. We don't go around asking for money all the time, but it's truthfully, it's what's keeping us alive, and it's what's gotten us to this point. The Gilmore Foundation has been so very gracious, and Dan Daly, God rest his soul, is so very, very generous to help us be a part of it, help us be a part of their legacy. And so those are the things that we just need constantly. We're looking for corporate sponsorships, and we're looking for entities that would love to come and say, yes, I know how important the East Bluff is to the city of Peoria. We're in active engagement with OSF because we're on their backs. I mean, they're right there. They are growing their footprint further and further north, and as they do, the more stability and community there is in that area, the better. So that's my plug.
As a proud member of St. Bernard's, have you been able to get a mailing list of all the alumni for the past 50 years?
No, and that would be incredible.
A lot of those records have been lost. When the church office moved out, what went with the church office, because the building sat empty for 10 years, but the church, I'm still a member of St. Bernard's, so that's kind of how I got connected with the whole story. But when the office moved across the street to the school, and then when the office left the school and moved down to Sacred Heart, a lot of those records disappeared too. I mean, I have a paper copy, but I don't know how valid somebody's address on Barron's is from 50 years ago.
Okay, I would think that Peoria-Notre Dame High School, if people attended there, they would know what grade school they went to.
Good point. Certainly check with that.
Any other questions?